Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Kapadash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and the elders of GMS who live well. Peace. Salutations to the elect. My name is Aina. The title of this video is Plebeian versus Patrician. All right. And basically, well, what I want to get into in this lesson is the fact that they use the right side and the left side to, basically cause divisions and ultimately bring about, you know, something. Basically, it goes into a lot because I'm gonna get we're at a chaos, right? But they're using the left side versus the right side to have that division, right? And it's basically going to bring conflicts, right? It's going to bring civil war, right? Because you have one group of people saying one thing, and you have another group of people saying another thing. But we're going to get into all of that, all right? Slack it. So what is plebeian and patrician, okay? And it's like if I'm saying that wrong. So it says in ancient Rome, patricians were the wealthy, land-owning noble class who claimed descent from the original founder of the city, while plebeians were the commoners. And that's the point. And what we're going to get into is the Democrat Party and the Republican Party. Now, it's pretty known that the Republican Party will be more wealthy for your business class because of their views and values. Things like tax breaks and other things like that. It helps business, when you're with the Republican Party. The Democratic Party will help more so, commoners, people that buy from businesses and use resources and things like that. It will make it more accessible, and things like that. So that's what you have set up in America. And that's because they follow after the Roman Empire. But what these devils are doing is using that setup, again, like I said, to just, bring about division. That's what it's going to do, and the people have something to fall back onto. When a Republican takes a seat, and they push out different laws, then you have the commoners or the plebeians, right? The lower class individuals, they can say, oh man, I can't wait till we put our people back into the seat, to change all this stuff that they're doing, and it could be so much that you have a Republican in the seat now, Donald Trump, and he's doing so much to where the people are upset and they're ready to take to the streets, right? But this is what they want. This is what they want, okay? So again, plebeian versus patrician. In ancient Rome, patricians were the wealthy, land-owning noble class who claimed descent from the original founder of the city, while plebeians were the commoners. All right, and they're using that. So let me get these revelations. All right, and we're going to get it from verse 11, okay? It says, Revelation 13:11, it says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like the lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Now, this beast coming out of the earth is America, all right? The two horns represent the two parties, the left and the right, the plebeian and the patrician, right? And it says he spake as a dragon. Now, this word dragon here is going into draconian measures, right? I don't know if it's here. Okay. All right, so I probably should have looked that up beforehand, but it's all good. I'm gonna get it for you off my phone. You can look it up too when you hear my voice and what I'm saying. So spake as the dragon is talking about the draconian measures because all roads lead to the MOTB. We're in the 13th chapter here, Revelation 13. In this chapter talks about the MOTB. All right. So just bear with me real quick. Draconian. So Draconian, this is AI overview. It says draconian, which is spelled Draconian. All right, maybe I can even pull it up now here. Let's see. Slack here. All right. Draconian, there it is right there. It says refers to laws, rules, or punishments that are excessively harsh, severe, or oppressive. And we can lean on like oppressive and severe and even harsh because of what the devils want to do. Right? It says the term implies that the measures go far beyond what is fair or necessary, often causing widespread discontent or public outcry. And that's exactly what's happening. All right. So again, it says Revelation 13:11, I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon, right? Which goes into the draconian measures, which I can grab the precept, real quick. We'll just get rid of that, right? You see it there. Psalm 55:21. It says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. All right, so this devil has a plan that he's putting into action, right? And it's draconian because it leads to the oppressive system of the New World Order, right? Which brings forth the MOTB, right, the mark of the beast, which will have a system of total control, right? If you go, 3 states in 1 week and you try to go get that 4th state, they might tell you no, things like that. Things like locking down your bank account, shutting you out of your own car, different things that they will be able to do with this new system. All right, and that's this devil's plan. Okay, it says in verse 12, and he exercises all the power of the first beast before him. First beast was Roman Empire, right? We're now living in a revised Roman Empire, right, which is America. Okay, and they follow after Rome. And I just gave you that this system was a system set up after Rome, right? Even going, to the point where they're going to issue forth that mark, right? Which in ancient Rome, you had a form of a mark, right? Where, people become slaves basically to the power that be. Okay. Verse Revelations 13:12 says, and he exercises all the power of the first beast before him and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast whose deadly one was healed. He did that by the laws, right? The different things that he set up and whatnot. All right. So I'll probably grab this precept here. So again, he's setting up a system following after the Roman Empire, and you have the two parties. All right, this is Isaiah 10:1. It says, "A woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees," going into draconian measures and whatnot. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that right grievousness which they have prescribed. All right, so these are things that they put into motion, put into play. Right, this is their plan, and they're draconian. And now what you have is what we're entering into is Jacob's trouble, with these different draconian measures that they're bringing forth, because what they're trying to do is birth the New World Order. Okay, so you can get this term here, order out of chaos. So order out of chaos, meaning it says order out of chaos refers to the process of organizing confusion or instability into a structured, functioning state. The phrase describes a natural or deliberate transformation where the destruction of an old chaotic system allows a new, stable, and often improved order to emerge. Right, and this is what these devils want. We can continue reading here. It says Revelations 13:13. It says, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. Right now, America was gifted with the nuclear and atomic bombs, right? They was the first people to drop the bombs on Japan, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? Which is a weapon of the Most High Yahweh Bashar Shai, right? He allowed these devils to have it. This is we can get it in NLT, Isaiah 54:16. It says, I have created the blacksmith who fans the coals beneath the forge and makes the weapons of destruction. And I have created the armies that destroy. Right? And these armies are the nuclear missiles. Right? That's why they do so much damage. This is the weapon that destroys. Right? And pursuant to Joel chapter, going to Joel chapter 2, it breaks that down how they destroy everything in the past. All right, but the Most High gave it to the world because at the end, it's gonna destroy parts of the earth like America and Israel. All right, and America was gifted with the atomic bombs first. Right now, pretty much everyone around the world has it. Okay. Verse 14. It says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. Right, because people didn't want to go to war with America, right? Because of these bombs, these missiles, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should, and mind you, this is a time period, right? That's why the whole world right now is going the way it's going. That's why you have the petrodollar, right? That's why America is the head, right? And the global currency is the dollar. Because them doing that miracle, them dropping that fire inside of men and deceiving them, has set up America to be what it is today. Right? Revelation 13:14 says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword in their lips. So it's all a calculated plan, that these devils are doing. It's setting up the new world order. That's what this verse 14 is talking about, the new world order. Right? It's talking about order out of chaos. Order out of chaos. Right? We get this Daniel 8:25. Daniel 8:25, it says, and through his policy, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. Right? Because this system that he set up, he pretty much told them to do it, set up different laws and things once he got the power to do so. They didn't need to use a sword. Now, sometimes he did, right? All wars are based on wars. You can even think about the Titanic, right? Because that goes into what is called like the Bretton Woods Agreement. Those people on the Titanic and it sank and had a lot of people on there that was against what these banking elites were trying to do, right? But the Most High was with these banking elites, right? Allowed them to do that thing. And that's why those people on the Titanic is gone, right? And now we have the petrodollars. So right here, Daniel 8:25. And now we use this for America, right? If you want to get technical, this is talking about Antiochus Epiphanes, all right? But America, the Roman Empire, is back today. Says, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He also shall stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. And that's going to be America, right? Yahweh Shai, the prince of princes, Yahweh Shai is coming, in the end, the last hour, right? Right when the nuclear missiles are being shot, right? Job says he shall save you out of 6 troubles. He has 7. No trouble shall touch thee. Roughly prayer in the scriptures, because that 7th trumpet or trouble is the nuclear missiles being shot. But anyway, the policy that he's setting up is this new world order, right? And he will get it. It's like the first car, like I like to make that example. It's like the first car, Now look at the cars you got now. I mean, you think about Tesla. I don't hear about cars that fly, but think about the first car, simple wheels, and, so he's going to get his system set up. It's going to be like the first car, though. It's not going to be perfect. It don't need to be perfect. It's just going to be what the scriptures say, it is. And that, that's just me kind of speaking as a man, but it makes sense Really, I don't like this devil, right? I don't want nothing good for him, right? I want him to know that his system that he's setting up ain't gonna be perfect at all, and even now, the system that he's setting up, with the cameras and tracking and listening and all this is backfiring on him. You know, he's 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 setting up a system that he himself is not ready for. He's getting caught on camera, you know, saying things because he think he's still living in whatever time period he was living in before while he's setting up the system. A lot of things are backfiring for this devil, and that's because that's how the Most High got it set up for him, a snare, as Jeremiah 51 goes into. A snare is laid for him, right? Psalm 64:8, his own tongue falling upon himself, right? He set up a system and he's fallen into his own trap. He wants to catch people and trap people and all of this, but he himself is getting trapped in his own system, right? So it was trash from the beginning. You got all these. He wants to put a chip and track everybody, right? But you want to put a system where everyone is tracked and traced. So you're gonna have complications when children are missing, and you're tracking the children. We're gonna clearly see, just like recently, Venezuela situation. They say that the fucking devils, the small riders went over there. They were trying to take their children away, but they got caught on cameras. People are like, what the hell are you doing? We see you. So this devil's not ready for his own system. And it's backfiring in his face. It's gonna continue to do that. All right. That's why you got Revelation 12:12. Him coming down with great wrath because he has a short time. But so this policy is the system that he's setting up. All right, and that's going into Revelation 13 and 14. And he's causing the whole world to do that because he Job 9:24 says the earth is given to them the wicked. So it was set up for this devil to be in control. All right, you got things like Psalms 83. Basic precepts. Hey, talking about the simplicity of Yahweh Shai. I always get these basic precepts. Psalms 83 going into the Psalms 83:3, it says they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, let us cut them off from many nations, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. And it lists these nations. So all these nations know the plan, they know the deal. That's why you had Iran exposed with the YouTube, the Israelites talking about, we know that America's oppressing you. Then you had Russia coming out with the dark images, the Russian icons, Bush ruling and whatnot. It's because they're divided and they're fighting. But they all know, right? And they're killing people. Shit, Trump on camera come out talking about, it's his job, to bring about a change or, destroy this current system, whatever the case may be. Even your dude Zelensky was talking about he was put in office to, do something, right? So these devils are they pretty much through. They've been found out. All right. So Revelation 13 and 15, it says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, right? That the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as will not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So what does it mean by speaking? That he's gonna do it. It's gonna happen. Right? He's gonna complete what the scripture says. Right? But so to Job 20, the Most High is gonna destroy him right when he completes it. That's why it's like the first part. That's the furthest he'll ever get. With that. All right. So, we continue. It says Revelation 13 and 16. Says, and he causes all, both small and very rich and poor, and bond to receive a mark in the right hand and their foreheads, which is a digital device, right? Which is the micro C-head. All right. He's going to force this thing on the world. All right. The system has already been set up. It says that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the name of the name. And it's clear as day. Like, we understand how money operates clearly. We all have credit cards and phones and tap this and tap that and all of that. For you to deny that this is where it's going, the Most High obviously is not dealing with you. it just wasn't meant for you to get it, you know. And then, we don't know, like, just arguing with the father saying, "Oh, it's definitely not what y'all saying." You should just shut the fuck up because you don't know what's going on. All right. It says here is wisdom, let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is a number of a man, and his number is 686. So there you go, NOT 666, which is this number follows this devil. He uses it a lot, and all of that. Right? Which ultimately just goes into taking having that MOTB, right? Which is a visual device that you will have a conscious decision to accept or not accept. All right, so going to this, back to the division part, they're just using that left and that right to bring division, and then we can see it happening because you have the Democrats telling people, "Oh, resist this," right? And if he's saying it's the Dems and he's a Republican, right? He's blaming the Democrats, so he's a Republican. So he's saying the Democrats are telling people to fight back, and that's why death is happening. They keep doing that, more death is going to happen, and it's just causing divisions and whatnot. Some play like 5 minutes of this or whatever. So Adam Mockler, all right, does videos, great videos, nice videos, informative,
Left-wing terrorism always ends in bloodshed, misery, and suffering.
It's kind of funny he says that because just 2 minutes ago, Tom Homan was calling for more bloodshed.
There will be bloodshed. And I'm saying it right now. There's still going to be more bloodshed.
All right, everybody, check this out. This morning has been an all-out blitz for these right-wing MAGA freaks who are flooding our airwaves with their radical vitriol, trying to divide this country, pull it to the far, far rights, and it is our duty to push back against this. Stephen Miller is...
Right, so he said that right there. I had a few other precepts because, kind of going back to where I started at, you have the left and the right, and they're going to use this to continue to bring that divide. All right. This is Isaiah 19 in 1 says, "The burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, rideth upon a swift cloud and shall come into Egypt." This is talking about America. "And the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it." All right. Both of you wanted to that war, right? Where the nuclear missiles will be shot on America, right? And also Israel and wherever else they may hit. But we know that Israel and America will be destroyed completely. America will never be happy again. Israel is where we live at. The Israelites, we live there. So we're going to have people, fix that up and all of that for us. Pursuant to Ezekiel 39, verse 2, Isaiah 19:2 says, "And I will set the Egyptian against the Egyptian, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom." So this is what's happening. The division is there. Even Donald Trump had the MAGAs. Now the MAGAs are divided, because the MAGAs will be Republicans, I believe, or there's people that know what the hell is going on. They just see a racist person and just vote for him. Even if it's bad for them. A lot of laws that America has put into place has been racist, or they didn't want it because it will benefit Jake, basically, so they rather not have those type of laws into place. Even though these devils captured us, brought us on slave ships, and since then has some, basically, we're not in hardcore slavery, though. We're all slaves. We're owned, right? We have Social Security numbers and whatnot. But even then, they don't want us to amount to anything here. Basically because, we're better than them. I guess they can't stand to see us just doing better than them because that's what happened. It's just natural. We're just better. So they set laws up and things like that to try their best to keep us down. And at the same time, it hurts themselves. But anyway, yes, I was talking about the MAGA. They're split between liking those small headers in our land over there, right, and not liking them. So just complete division. Isaiah 19:2, right, which goes into civil war. "And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom." So that is coming. You have 2 Ezra 15 and 16 points to these things. Yeah, 2 Ezra chapter 15, verse 14 says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, with swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among you." So sedition means overthrowing a government. Now, why might someone want to overthrow the government? Maybe because you have a Democratic Party and a Republican Party, and they feel like the one party in power isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing, so they need to take control. So it goes to their master plan, all right, to cause this type of situation, where then they can step in with their military forces. It says, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, in the course of their actions shall stand in the power." So these people that's gonna be fighting, they're gonna be doing damage, basically. All right, you already still remember. You gotta remember that a lot of these officials have moved out of their regular homes and onto military bases and things like that. A lot of people, like in high positions, business, politicians, things like that, have left the country, because they know what's coming. But these are all signs of terrible times ahead. It says, verse 17, "A man shall desire to go into the city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the house shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor." That's your next door neighbor. "A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of lack of bread and for great tribulation." Mind you, there's a whole lot going on. A whole lot going on. To something so small to the largest thing. I'm trying to think of an example, but the big thing that's happening is a situation with this war, and the fact that the straits, I believe both straits are closed, or the other one is about to be closed, but it's causing a lot of problems. Basically, no fertilizer, no oil. There's a water shortage. El Nino is hot as hell. People dying from heat alone. Pestilence. I'm talking about a new type of pestilence every day or every week or something. So all hell is breaking loose, and it's festering, it's spreading and touching each other, and just molding up, and it's getting real bad. And that's going to bring civil war too. All right. So I think I was done with that. I'll probably get that.
Is perhaps the worst of all. He's the deputy chief of staff for Donald Trump, and he's essentially the mastermind of a lot of the most radical, vicious policies throughout Donald Trump's political career. He's the one who wanted to challenge birthright citizenship. He's the one who set the quota for 2,000 deportees a day, therefore turning ICE into a rogue terrorist organization. Donald Trump is the one executing it and carrying it out. I'm not trying to remove any agency there, but Stephen Miller is the one who comes up with these sick-in-the-head ideas. That's why we call him sick in the head, Stephen Miller. Now, he's speaking at a conference today called The Resurgence of Political Terrorism. The name is a little bit too on the nose. Like, you might think that they're talking about ICE roaming our streets, killing both U.S. citizens, people on workers' permits, roaming the U.S. streets, literally violating our constitutional rights. But no, he spends this entire speech trying to attack the left, trying to weaken the entire democratic apparatus of the United States and imply that one side is a terrorist organization. That's what he does. I would never say that every single Republican or that the Republican Party as a whole is a terrorist organization. I'm not that divisive. I have no need to be. The reality is Donald Trump and his MAGA movement are regressing our country back to a pre-constitutional order where Trump can be uniquely corrupt, where we can
so he pointed out Trump, and that's in Isaiah also, where we were reading about the civil war and the division. There's a cruel Lord in power, right? That's messing things up. Isaiah 19:3 says, "And the spirit of Egypt, which is America, shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof." Look at Donald Trump and the decision that he's making. It says, "And they shall speak to the idols and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards." So they were tapping into the left hand side, right? Trying to call upon these wizards and trying to get demons to help them and whatnot. right? It says, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashmal Shire, the Lord of hosts. Now, it's the spirit that people are now protesting, talking about no king events. All right. What is it? Second Ezra 9 talks about uproars of the people. Second Ezra chapter 9, verse 1, it says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I've told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it's the very same time wherein the highest began to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, and that's the point. We're seeing a lot more of uproars in the world, and it's all over the world. Uproars in Iran, uproars in UK and whatnot, uproars in Ukraine, uproars all over the world, right? And uproars in America with these different protests, no king events. It says, verse 4, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those days from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. All right, so the end is here. That's what we're witnessing. All right. So that's that cruel Lord. That's it. Isaiah 19:4. The Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, said the Lord Yahweh Bashmal Shai, Lord of hosts. Donald Trump says all the time, no president has done what I've done. No, none, not one of them. They wanted to do this. I'm the only one that did it. And because everything he's doing right now, it ain't nothing good coming out of it. All right.
Can strip away rights, and this MAGA movement is radical in and of itself. I don't need to paint half of the country in one way, but Stephen Miller does. He wants one-party rule to carry out his most extreme immigration visions, and we have to push back. So let's break this all down. If you appreciate this, drop a like, subscribe to the Adam Mockler feed, and can I just point out the irony very quickly? While Stephen Miller was giving that speech, one of his friends, Tom Homan, who is the border czar, was on Fox News talking about bloodshed. He said it all goes back to the Dems. There's going to be more bloodshed unless they shut their mouth and let ICE enforce the laws that they acted. So, wait, we're the political terrorists, left-wingers who potentially want more health care and less wealth inequality, and not Tom Homan, who's broadcasting his vitriol to millions of Americans on Fox News? Listen.
But it all goes back to the Dems who want to continually attack ICE and tell people to evade them, tell people don't comply, tell people to resist, and tell people ICE isn't real law enforcement agency. You and I talked about this 1.5 years ago, Laura. I said if the hateful rhetoric didn't stop, there will be bloodshed. And I'm saying it right now. There's still going to be more bloodshed unless they shut their mouth and let ICE enforce the laws that they enacted.
I hope this isn't crude or blunt to say, but this is like rapist mindset. If you don't shut your mouth and let it happen, it's only going to get worse, is what he's saying. So as ICE is violating the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the 14th Amendment, violating all of our constitutional rights, we're supposed to sit back and just let it happen. Listen, on the Adam Mockler feed, I'm never going to tell people to hurt officers or get your life and put your life in danger. Do not go out there trying to hurt people or trying to, harm people. That's going to backfire. You are going to end up in jail or seriously harm. I'm not going to say that. But we should absolutely be talking about this, calling this out. And what he just said right there is kind of just anti-First Amendment. He said, there's going to be more bloodshed unless they shut their mouth. We're not going to be shutting our mouths ever. Are you going to be? Let me know in the comment section. This brings me back to Stephen Miller. So as Tom Homan is saying that, Stephen Miller is at the same time flooding the airwaves with his own vitriol, trying to say that left-wingers are the terrorists in the United States.
Thank you, of course, to Secretary of State Rubio for organizing this conference and for leading this initiative. Here in the United States, we have taken the necessary and essential action of formally recognizing left-wing violence as a form of political terrorism that is a direct threat to our national security and the survival of our Republican form of government. President Trump issued a directive. In our parlance, it's called a National Security Presidential Memorandum, or NSPM, NSPM 7 to be exact, that directs, for the first time in American history, all of our law enforcement and intelligence agencies to work together to disrupt, identify, defund, debank, arrest, and prosecute these political terrorists that are operating in our country.
Okay, wait, pause for 1 second. First of all, why is he moving in such a weird, creepy manner? Like, this is like really a creepy ass speech. But second of all, left-wing terrorism exists in very, very small numbers compared to the right-wing terrorism that this country has seen.
You know, so you can go and watch the rest of this video, right? They're completely divided and it brings about an end, right? Or in the mindset of the banking elites, they reset. Because they're going to end it to reset it. They're going to end the current system to reset the system. So they think, you know. This is Matthew 12:25. It says, and Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, who is divided against himself, how shall then his kingdom stand? Right. So division, you know, just brings about a destruction to your kingdom. All right, and that's exactly what these banking elites want. Right. But this is the end for them. You know, I'm gonna grab Job 20 because the whole thing is the reset to bring about the new world order. You know. So, Job 20:22, and in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits, right? Which means a position of difficulty, right? It says every hand of the wicked, the word wicked there goes into a mall, right, which is laborers, right? So every hand of the wicked shall come upon him, right? So these are your commoners, you know, these are your everyday workers, all right? These are people getting fired by the laws being put in place now that's firing people from their jobs and you know, and whatnot to, you know, and it all goes into the plan to bring in a new system that's supposed to be governed by AI. Right, a lot of these people are getting fired and just being one of the next protesters. You know, the next person to pick up a no king sign out there just protesting and nothing else to do. Right, or the next podcaster to just start podcasting, talking shit, you know, and exposing. You know, all hands on deck, exposing. Job 20:22, it says, in the fullness of his sufficiency shall be in straits, every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. When he is about to fill his belly, and we know that this devil's master plan is to bring about his new world order and put a micro C-hip into everybody. When he is about to fill his belly, Yahweh, Bahashim shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. It is drawn and cometh out of the body, yet the glittering sword comes out of his gall. Out of his gall, terrors are upon him. All right, so this is talking about the nuclear missiles, right? This new system that he's setting up, you know, is going to be a short period of time once it's implemented. All right, he's going to be destroyed. His kingdom is going to be destroyed. Master plan, all of that. All right, so you know, Lord willing, you are edified from this lesson. Shalom to the hopeful elect, which consists of men, women, and children. Shalom.